This is Do It for a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
I try to learn from everything that happens, anything that happens. I don't run away from anything that happens. I try to live it, understand it, and just face it, and face it with discipline. And because I trust myself a lot, because I keep my word, and I know that if I say something, I'm going to do it, it makes it very easy for me not to say something I don't think I can do, and for me not to say something that I'm not going to accomplish.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Kevin Dubois. This week we've got Gary Carbono of Lab Motorsports. Lab is out of Panama, and so he's one of the few Central American, I guess, performance shops you could call it, and that's exactly what he does. I've known him for a while through the Evo stuff, of course, but Gary does a little bit of everything. He's got GTRs down there, does some drag racing. I've talked to him about a new road course that they've built down there. So he's starting to dabble in that as well. But yeah, so he's done a little bit of everything, and he does tuning and works on cars from all over Central America. So I'll let him share his story. So Gary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing very good. Yeah, it's nice weather here finally, and I'm assuming it's nice weather in Panama too, huh?
It's always raining. It's either sunny or it's raining. That's all we have right now.
Okay, so not a lot of time to go racing then, huh? If it's raining every day?
Well, not really. I mean, we have like a season. It's just like right now we're in summer, so even if it's like rainy season, I mean, we'll still get the sun. Like, yeah, obviously, like now in the summer is where we have more racing than normal, like throughout the year.
Okay, so Gary, why don't we go ahead and get started by you telling us your story? Like, how did you get involved in cars, and kind of tell us about you and how you got to where you are at Lab.
Okay, so to start off, I come from a military background. Like my father, this guy was like the strictest father on the block. So this guy's all about loyalty, and I was living like with Don Vito Corleone. Like that's why I felt like every day was a lesson to be learned, and I owe a lot to my father, especially in how strict he was and how he raised us. So my father, he had a shop. He was very good with machinery and engines and cars and stuff like that. So I mean, I was always around that, engines and cars, when I was a kid. And I think one of the most important things that got me to have a shop now that I'm older is that every time something broke, anything that it was the washing machine, the dry machine, he had us there standing next to it as it was being repaired. And very important lesson for us, because it taught me like you never know when you might need that skill. So it was a very powerful lesson or phrase for us, like when we were kids. So I did a lot of stuff that other kids didn't do. Like we had a motorcycle, we went hunting with my father, my father had guns. So a lot of the stuff that was given to me as a child, besides being strict, also made me mature pretty fast. He had a company. I was born in Panama because I was born premature, but my family lived in the States, so as soon as I was born, we took off to the States.
So you were born in the States? I
was born in Panama. I was born premature. My mom came to do something, and there I am. I was born, and obviously as soon as I was born, we left to the States back. She was just visiting, like her father,
Gotcha.
Or my grandfather. So we went back to the States. My father, he had a lot of skills for, like I said, engines and stuff. He had a shop, and when he went to the States, he ended up buying a lawnmower company. It was actually a factory. Like they did everything in house. I'm telling you, like Bridge & Stratton engines and everything was done in house. It was 100% made in the U.S. So I started working with my father very, very young, and obviously I started from the bottom, cleaning. And what I used to do there was I used to clean the machines when they came in, all the lawnmowers, the weed eaters. I used to wash them when they came in, and I had to clean them when they left out. So me being like 6, 7 years old doing that, at my father's shop, it came to a point where it's like, it doesn't make any sense. They come in dirty and they leave clean and they come back dirty. It doesn't make any sense at all. And that was like a game changer for me when my father told me, you got to be proud of what you do. Doesn't matter what you do. Even if you clean bathrooms, you got to be the best one. Take pride in what you do. And that really opened my eyes as a kid to always like try to do everything with perfection, like trying to do it the best way. He had a company, so he had a machine, he had all types of machines, and I was always there with him, with my brothers and stuff. Basically, that's what I remember from being a kid at my father's company, lawnmower company. Then my parents got separated, and next thing you know, I'm flying to Panama, waking up at 3 in the morning to go to school, and I'm like 9, 10 at that time. Waking up at 3 to get to school at 7:30 because my mom had no money, and she had like 3 jobs, so it was like a whole new life. Imagine coming like from the States where I had everything, and everything was like great for me, and then coming to something that I wasn't used to, like school, like there was no school bus. I had to drive. I had to go, not drive. I had to go public transportation. So it was really rough. So that's part like of my background, like and obviously with all those problems that the divorce and stuff, at a young age I got very distant from common distractions. I would say I think that's key right there. I got very distant from distractions. I was very clear. I am extremely OCD, and it got me to the point where I would value things a lot. Like if I had my shirt or my bicycle, I would value everything I had. And I would say I started getting really good at that stuff when I had my bicycle, to be honest. Take it apart, put it back together. Everything was like in order. I was very OCD in it. So that would be the part, like how I was raised and how I got to the point of doing things properly or being proud in what I did.
And this is a pedal bike or a motorcycle?
No, bro, it's a pedal bike. At that time, when they got divorced, no money, so there wasn't any more motorcycles. I had my pedal bike, so I had my BMX, and I would take it apart. I would take everything apart, bro. I couldn't put it back
that's
together.
how I learned too, right? I did bikes as well, so.
So bikes was good. I got everything together. By the time I was like, I think it was like almost being like 17, 18. My mother, she's very smart. She's very like good with numbers and business, and she wanted to kill like 2 birds with 1 stone. So she's like, you know what? I'm gonna get you a car, and how about we get you a truck? And then with that truck, you can move stuff around. People will pay the car off, and it'll be your transportation. But that was just a wrong move, because as soon as I got that truck, I think I moved something once, or my sister did. We got paid, and that's it. I never used that for that again. I mean, I'm telling you, this was before Fast and the Furious, so it's like early 2000, and it was like I couldn't drive it stock, so I started like caring for the car. I think that car made like 110 or 120 from factory. By the time I was done in my early 20s, that thing was making like 185 to the wheels, and I'm talking like it was supercharged and it had like headers, exhaust, brakes, suspension, and back in the day you didn't have like a lot of technology. So I was just tuning it with something called SDS. I don't know if you ever worked with that. SDS.
Never heard of that one, no.
Bro, it's like 3 knobs and hope for the best.
All right.
Yeah, 3 knobs. And you got the threshold, you got the percentage, and it was like an extra injector or 2 extra injectors like right there at the intake.
This is adding fuel to it.
Just adding fuel to it, exactly. So on the dyno, it made like 185. Had no control over the timing, but it was just whipping ass. And I mean, me being OCD and like I said, not having any distractions kept me like in this world where I was like, I like this. So I would race every Thursday, every Friday, every Saturday, come home, put my alarm system, wake up at 10 p.m. when everyone was out. I would just take it on the street and I would just race it and have fun. And I was hooked up. Like it was a drug for me. I was hooked up every week with that truck racing. At that time, I think like the fast cars were like B series and stuff like that. So I would race anything that was 4 cylinders or anything like that. Without a problem.
And so I mean, this is kind of like your background in racing and kind of tinkering with your stuff. Like, how does that turn into Race Lab Motorsports? Like, Did you go to college? Like what did you do to get from where you were at there to Race Lab?
Okay, I would say that first of all, I think like many of us, like I started out working on my truck, that Chevy S10, that 2.2 liter truck I had. I started working on that, taking things apart. So I had to buy tools, and I always worked with one or two friends that kind of liked it, but I mean, it was just like trial and error to do things and install things and stuff like that. I did work at a shop. I had a friend's shop. He had a shop. He had like a race shop, but it wasn't really a race shop. It was like normal mechanic, like traditional mechanic, and some race cars. I didn't learn a lot. I just was like glued to it because all the cars that were coming and stuff, but I didn't learn much there. So I would say I learned a lot at home, and then I had the opportunity to work with, I don't know if you know John Estrada.
The name, yeah. Uh-huh.
John Estrada is like, he's the owner of Gesture Tuning, like my mentor back in the day. Like I learned a lot from tuning from him. After that, like a friend shop, he had a shop, and I worked there for a bit. Actually, with him, and then the local shop here, I was doing a lot of wrenching, like installing and tuning, and then it got to the point like MAPerformance got me the opportunity to work with them. So I was living in Panama and then working with MAPerformance, like selling parts.
Okay.
And then I got across with Chris from Melon Racing, which that helped me a lot too. I did a lot of tuning with him and traveled a lot with him tuning, and we did a lot of wrenching too, like installations and stuff, like full builds and stuff like that. And obviously, what I needed really was to get trained. So a lot of this stuff I learned because I wanted, and then I went to EFI University, and I think I took every single course they have there. I think Tony Paulo was one of the fuel courses or something like that. I remember seeing Tony there giving out the course. So
learn by doing and by taking the classes. Okay.
Very important, definitely. It was very, very. I was very familiar when I got there, like to how things worked and stuff like that.
Okay. And what year was this when you were doing this stuff?
I would say like 2008. In 2008, I was already tuning. Like I was tuning already because I remember like I was doing a Mazda Speed at that time. So 2008, 2006, I was already like working on cars as a part-time because I had to go to college and I had like a full-time job. So for me, vacations from college or from whatever I was doing was flying out to work with Melon Racing or whatever we were doing, or traveling or going by myself through Central America.
Mm-hmm. So what were you going to college for?
Okay, a lot of people don't know this about me. I'm kind of a geek. So I was in the Maritime Academy for a while. I loved it, but not enough to be like in a ship like for a year or two. So stopped doing that. I ended up going to law school because of my mom. So I ended up going to law school, finished that, came back home, and I was so happy. It's like, I'm done. She's like, well, that's the least I expected from you. So I went back to college and I got a master's degree in law.
Okay.
And that's what I studied before doing cars.
Very interesting. So you're not a lawyer because you have to take a bar exam or something like that, right?
I am an attorney. I actually worked for the government. Like, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but I worked for the government. I worked at the Maritime Authority. I worked there, and I did good. I mean, I was an attorney. I was promoted, so I had something. I studied and I had a good job and I had the good shoes and the suit and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think that's not what I fell in love with. Like at some point in my life that I wanted to do forever. So I have my degree. I have a master's and everything, and I just don't. I do this other thing that I love, which is cars. I never come to work. That's why I do cars.
Right. That's what we all. That's why we're all in this industry, because there's not a lot of money in wrenching on cars. It's just we love doing it, right?
I think I did it for the wrong reason. Looking back, like when I started the business, like I did this for the wrong reason. Why didn't I do this for the money? I didn't. I never thought about the money, and I'm being 100% honest. Never thought about the money, and it's crazy because now the way I think of stuff is like, I mean, is it gonna make us some money? Like, is this gonna, you know, increase our sales, make, you know, our business better? But I didn't. I think that was a key factor right there. Not thinking about the money to start the business.
You've kind of like gone all over working kind of with other people, working with MAPerformance, Gesture Tuning, Melon. You've done the EFI University courses. When did you like formally start Race Lab Motorsports, and how did you do it?
Like you said, I was doing a little bit of everything and doing everything as much as I could and learning here and there. At some point when I got promoted as an attorney at the Maritime, I got my own office and a specific department. So I wasn't a group of attorneys, so it was just by myself, and I was directing a department. It got to a point where I was like, I felt like I was at the peak, you know, like I said, the suit, the shoes and everything, but I wasn't gonna wait for something to happen and then I was obligated to do something, you know, about it. So at the peak, I decided to let go of what I was doing. So I stopped. Well, like one day I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop. I didn't have a problem. I enjoyed it. I stopped, and when I got home, remember I coming back home and really happy that I was gonna do something on my own with no plan, just the thought about doing something. My mom was like, the look she gave me was like, you're such an idiot, you know. I was like, so I started working out of my mom's garage. So I bought my tools and stuff like that. I worked, I think, at my mom's garage like for a year or two. Wake up at 5 in the morning and go to sleep at 2 in the morning or 1 a.m. Just right after that, at some point, I started traveling. So I would travel a lot with Melon. We go through Central America and stuff like that. And I came back. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna step up. So I ended up coming up with the name and kind of with a plan, with the business plan and an idea, and with no money. And this is true story for you guys that want to start a business or whatever. With no money and just the power wheel, I walked in, really nice dress, to the bank, and I got rejected at every single bank. And it wasn't about like, no, you don't qualify. It was about saying that and making me feel bad as I walked out. Can I open the door for you? Like, just get out. So it was really hard. All I had was a credit card, which that kind of helped me a little bit. Like I had like a $2,500 limit, and they increased it to $3,000. So I used a lot of credit card to do stuff. I had a lot of clients. So I got a warehouse. Again, I started looking for warehouse and stuff like that. Rejected. And at the last one I liked, being rejected, like, nope. I wrote them an email. I came up with this letter. I wish I had that letter here. I came up with a letter telling them like the type of work I did and stuff like that. And they called me like a week later, like, we don't understand what you're trying to tell us. I'm like, I'm just trying to give you an idea of what I do, you know. So I talked to the owner, and you know, we clicked a bit, and next thing I know, I have to pay them monthly. Like I got the warehouse.
So the other places didn't want you because of what you were doing, or because you didn't have any money, or why would a warehouse place reject you?
I had no credit, bro. Like, and that's very important. Like, you had no credit. Like when you're 17, 18, you're not thinking about that. Like I had no credit. I had no background. Like they couldn't check anything. So that's why I wrote them a letter. And they were like, I don't understand. Like, what does this mean? And it's like, no, I'm a tuner and I build cars. And I think I even used the name of my customer, like a very important customer I had. And that kind of clicked. And I think when the guy saw me, and I mean, I was ready to work. So next thing I know, I have to pay them, and I have to give them a deposit and pay them every 30 days. So I'm like, now I'm in it. So there was no time to lose. So I think by the time, like by the first 45 days of me signing the contract, I had inside the shop ready to go. I had about 9 cars ready to go.
So a bunch of them. Okay.
Yeah, but in my plans, I didn't have those 9 cars in my mind.
Right.
You know, and all of a sudden, I haven't even opened the business, and I have 9 cars that I need to maneuver, fix, order parts. And you know the business, Kevin. I mean, even if you have 9 cars, that doesn't mean you're going to make $40,000. You know.
No. You know? You can make negative money. Most people do, right?
Negative money, taking up my space. You know how it is, like in the shop, all the cars. Like yeah, but it was good, and I was by myself. So hiring a mechanic was like, are we going to improve or are we going to go backwards? Having the same standards, how do we do this?
Yeah.
Really, really, really hard at that moment. Like I used to sleep. True story. Sleep in the office. I made sure we got a good carpet and a good AC, and I was living inside the office. I wasn't supposed to be living in the office, but I was living in the office. Wake up in the morning, get to work, come back, tears, sweat, debt.
The life, right?
No life. Like I don't remember for the first like 5 years, or like I would say for the first 5 years of me, like before Race Lab and during Race Lab, I don't remember like celebrating a Christmas at all. I would take like the 25th. We have like turnpikes or expressways here, and you have to pay like toll right through each one. So on the 25th, I would set up my shop to have the cars ready to tune. So I would use the expressway. I had no dyno. Use the expressway to tune these cars because you didn't have to pay toll because it was a holiday. So I did that. I did that for 3 years consecutively. I had cars always in December lined up to tune. Like, so I didn't have to pay toll. Imagine like setting up your fuel trims and you have to pass like 5 tolls and come back. You're spending like $20-$30 just in toll for one car. Just to get your fuel trims. For me, that was saving, so forget about the turkey and ham. I'm ready to go to work. And I used to take customer cars because as me being like, as I was an attorney, I used to drive. I always had a different car. Like the Evo 10 was very popular, so I would drive the Evo 10s to work, do my fueling, like trims, idle, whatever I had to do. I was tuning, email tunes, whatever. Come back home with a customer car, do 3 pulls on the expressway to get home, and then come home, eat, check the logs, and then go back out and try to finish the car. It took me like 3 days to finish it. I didn't have the time, so that's why I ended up opening.
Oh,
this
no. And I drive customer cars all the time when I build an engine. I mean, like part of the work that I'm doing is breaking them in and driving them around for 100 or 1,000 miles, and you can't, like, it's a total waste of a day if you just drive that car around all day. So I daily drive their car for a week or two and make sure everything is solid. And you bring your laptop home with you and make adjustments when you get home and make adjustments when you get back to the shop. I mean, like, I think a lot of shops around here do that. I think it's pretty common. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thing we all do.
It makes a difference, like you said, to have the cars ready and make sure they run.
Yeah.
So I was always like driving and coming back from work and stuff like that. I think I missed out something, like when I was telling you about like how we came across working on cars and stuff like that. Like I had the worst job right before being an attorney. I had like the worst job ever. I don't know if you ever went through that, Kevin, but
I had lots of bad jobs.
I wanted to like set it on fire. Like I had so much hate for it, like because I wasn't happy. But that paid for law school, and that paid for what is today our drag car, which is, I don't know if, like the myth, which is our drag car. Like that's how I bought the car, like working overtime. So again, I worked overtime as much as I could, and I'm telling you, like I would put like the limit of hours, like the amount of hours they could offer, I would do it, and the craziest shifts and stuff like that. So working on cars, like doing overtime, like paying for the Evo, and it was crazy. But everything's worth it. Like not only to achieve what you want to do, but it creates a lot of discipline, and that's something like I think our shop is like, it is what it is because of the discipline we put into it.
Okay. Do you think of yourself as an entrepreneur?
Well, the way I see it, or the way I handle my shop or my life is, it's a very big word. It's big shoes to fill. I do believe, Kevin, that everybody's born with some type of capability to run a business, but at the same time, I feel like everyone, or most of the people, like maybe 85% of the people, come preset from factory to ruin a business, or to run it to the ground, no matter if the business is small or big or whatever. The overuse of that word, has really degraded what a real entrepreneur is, or what they do. Not because you have a domain name or a business card, or it makes you an entrepreneur. For me, it's very important the way I manage it, because I think all of us are dreamers. I don't know how you started your business. I'm assuming the same way, having a dream. And I know you from years ago. So you had you had a good job.
Yep.
Pretty sure it paid all the bills and much more. So it's kind of crazy to move from something so secure to something that is insecure, but at the end of the day, it's actually worth it. So,
crazy is the way to describe it, because it is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's completely crazy. You know, the way I manage myself, or the way I see it, is that I have, like, in my office and in my life, I have like multiple personalities, right?
Mhm.
So in order to run our company, I have this disorder where it starts out with my entrepreneur personality, and I only use a percentage of it. And this personality is very young, extremely young, I would say, like a little boy, like a kid, right? Very visionary, a lot of dreams, dreamer side of me, lots of energy. I mean, not afraid to use my imagination. I still believe in unicorns, and I still believe that there's a huge possibility that I can catch a leprechaun one of these days. That's my entrepreneur personality. It's the part of me that actually thinks of the future, like what if, like let's do it, you know, like nonstop motivation, whatever you want to think about. It's a part that lives in the future, never in the past, and barely in the present. Like I barely live in the present when I have that personality. I always try to keep it at level, try to lock it in at 60% of usage. I try not to go over 75. If I go over 75, I'm thinking about moving to Germany and opening 3 shops like in the States. So I keep it at level. I told you I had several personalities. So at the same time, I have a manager personality, and this is very important for all you guys that want to achieve something or have a company. So my manager personality is the one that needs to be in the movie. This is the guy that needs to be in the film, in my company, in my office. So my manager is kind of older, kind of mature. This is the part that organizes everything. He's not a daydreamer, completely OCD. He's not thinking about the future. He lives in the present, very pragmatic, down to earth, and just goes through the dream and organizes it to get it set up. You know, it's the personality that fixes the problems or problem solving. So my entrepreneur side sees the opportunity, and my manager side sees the possible issues of that opportunity. And I try to keep them, you know, I try to keep them balanced out. I mean, without that, there's no business. Without my manager side, there is no business. But without the entrepreneur side, there is no innovation. So it's kind of like the tension between these two, where all great work is born or comes from. And last but not least, then I have my technician side, or my technician personality. This is the part of me that gets things done. You know, either we're, you know, tuning a car, building race engines, welding a chassis, or whatever we're doing. This is the part of me that just wants to get work done. When I mix all these 3 personality, like, into what we do daily, or how I run the company, or how I manage my life, or how I run myself as a man, that's where it really starts kicking in.
Okay.
And I go completely matrix into how to think properly, how to accomplish, how to be a perfectionist, how to be a problem solver. And I'm telling you, man, it's like when you think like that and you organize yourself like that, I mean, being an entrepreneur is like being normal aspirated. And no offense to all UNA guys, but as you kick in your manager side, I mean, you're starting to get some boost. You know, you're starting to feel some boost. And once you get your technician aligned in, your technician personality, I'm telling you, you're running 8 seconds. You're running your mind at 8 seconds in the quarter mile every fucking day. You have your launch set up. You have, you know, you're cutting 1.2 60 foot constantly off the line, and that's how I do it. I keep them organized, and I keep them working together. So I mean, it's the mix of all these 3 that gets me going and gets my stuff organized, and just gets the work out of the door and continues innovating and growing as a company. That's the way I do it.
Have you ever doubted yourself and wondered if this doesn't work, what are you going to do, and how do you overcome that feeling?
I think that, okay, the answer would be yes. I think everyone does that. But it's very important to keep your word. So I think because of discipline, because that was given to me by my parents, and and obviously given to me by circumstances throughout the years, like the divorce and my depression and all that stuff, and all the problems I had when I was a kid and stuff like that. It you learn, like people run away from pain. So whenever they have pain, they want to either take a medication or figure out how to get the pain away, but we never invest in preventing it. So what I do is I try to learn from everything that happens, anything that happens. I don't run away from anything that happens. I try to live it, understand it, and just face it, and face it with discipline. And because I trust myself a lot, because I keep my word, and I know that if I say something, I'm going to do it, it makes it very easy for me not to say something I don't think I can do, and for me not to say something that I'm not going to accomplish. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I just think of where I come from and how far I've gone, and I just think, like, you know what, we could do this, and it's going to take a little bit of time, and I don't care. I mean, I'm alive, and I can still do it. That's it.
What's the worst experience you've had in business?
Okay, so it starts off with David Busher. No, just kidding. So I'm on the phone with David Busher. Actually, it does start with David Busher. Nothing bad. I'm on the phone with David Busher, and I'm at that time I had his engine like in our Myth, which is our drag Evo. So I'm talking with him on the phone. I have Marcus from Magnus on the other line waiting for me because I want him to come down. You know, I know Marcus from a long time ago. So I was talking to Busher about bringing like Kevin Lawson over to drive the Myth, so I could take care of the crew for the car. There was a big race. So let me start. There was a big race. So I'm on the phone with David. Marcus is coming down. Kevin Lawson is going to drive our car. I'm working on the car and stuff like that. And we have a huge race. I think that's where we were put on the map. We have this huge race. We're going to race everyone. Like, it's a huge event. Everything's set up. Marcus lands. Kevin Lawson lands. I have the car ready. Marcus is testing the car and stuff like that. And we're off to the event. As we're leaving to the event, and I get a call from my landlord, and he tells me that in 10 days he needs me to move. So I gotta leave. Like the whole shop was set up properly. Like it took me a long time to set it up like properly, and he tells me like I gotta leave, and I'm like, but I'm always paying on time. He's like, yeah, no, it's not a problem. We want to expand our business, and we need that.
They needed the space.
So I was like, they needed the space. So imagine how I felt like going to the race, knowing that I'm coming back to nothing. I have to set up a new agreement with someone else or buy my own warehouse, and I'm focused on racing. And for me, that was huge. Maybe if I say and you didn't live it, it doesn't seem to much, but
oh no, that's a big problem. Moving the shop is really expensive and takes a lot of time.
Thinking of,
believe me, I've done it a few times, so it's not something I ever look forward to.
I don't want to do that again. So we went to the race. We won first place, which made me really happy. I mean, everything was perfect. We eliminated the whole class, and we were out. Coming back with a sad face, like it just killed me. And imagine like the downtime. I think I was not working like for 25 days. Like you would say a month.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, it takes weeks to do it, so that's for sure.
Customer waiting.
They did make you move, and you found a good location though. Is that where you're at right now?
I don't know if I found a good location. I found like a location like really far away. I love it. I love where we're at. So at our past location, I would have a possible customer walk in every 5 minutes, either to know the shop or to see what we were selling, and it was just crazy. Where I'm at, if you're coming to us, it's because you want something done. So it's great because I only receive customers by appointment and stuff like that. It's much better. We have our dyno and stuff here. But at that moment, it was like, I think it was so difficult because I had the opportunity, like, okay, you made good money, what do we do? Do we just close the shop and leave it, sell the car, move on? So it was like a new beginning for me. It's like, am I going to continue? Like, look what happened. Like, am I going to continue or just like let it go? So I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to continue. So I got another space, and it was like more expensive. So I was like, damn, like not only is it far away, but it's expensive. But right now I love it. It's huge.
Awesome. So what's something you're doing right now that has you fired up?
I have I've been working for the last year and opening a kind of a school, like a EFI school, but for tuning and welding, specifically for welding and mechanic work for Central America. So that takes a lot of my time during the day. That's where I'm investing most of my time. But it's just like time consuming to get that done. Setting it up with companies and stuff like that in the States, and so that has me fired up, to be honest. I mean, it's a slow process to do it right, because I have everything set up. We can just start right now if you want it, but to do it correctly and to have like the tools for these kids to come in and learn stuff like that, it you have no idea. Like, it takes so much time.
Interesting. Okay, so let's take a quick break right here, and then we'll move on and talk about Race Lab and what you're doing with that company. We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial. Okay, so Gary, why don't you go ahead and tell us about Race Lab? How big is the space you're in?
Okay, so Race Lab is 2-story building, and it's 800 square meters. So you can help me out with that, Kevin. So I think it's 8,611 square feet.
Yeah, it's 9 times whatever in square feet, right? Yeah, so 7,200-ish, somewhere around there. You said 800 square meters?
It's 800 square meters.
Okay, it's a little more than, it's probably 8,000-ish square feet.
Yeah, right? 8,600 something, whatever. So that's the size. So we have like our dyno. We have a fabrication department, which started out to build stuff like for the cars that we were custom building and stuff like that, because we were doing a lot of swaps. We have our sales department, which sells a lot of parts like through eBay and through Central America. So we ship a lot of parts out during the week.
Okay.
We have a marketing department, which is the one that does like all the videos and photos and stuff like that. Those are Facebook and Instagram. So we expanded to do the school. We expanded the second floor.
Okay, that's where you're teaching everything at, like a classroom-ish
thing
it's a
up classroom. There? Like each student like has a laptop, and so it's pretty big. It's pretty organized. So yeah, so we have like our main thing is like mechanic work, welding, and tuning.
Okay. And
then the rest of the operation, like shipping department, stuff like that, it operates on its own. So we have a total of about, working with me, max of 8 people, depending on what we're doing.
So you got quite a few people there.
Definitely. Yeah, we do. I even have some on standby, because sometimes we'll be like, if it's race season and stuff like that, and I have too many cars, you can't just like hire someone and bring them in and like, let me teach you with this car, So yeah, I'll have like 2 backup guys that have worked with me part-time.
Okay.
So someone gets sick, I'll bring in my part-time or whatever. And I do a lot of the installation and supervising and stuff like that.
Have you ever written a formal business plan?
Yes and no. Yes, because I had no idea when I worked at the call center and my life was miserable. I didn't understand what it was, but I wish I had that notebook. I wrote everything I wanted to do.
Okay,
like,
so you did put all your ideas down at least, right?
Yeah. Like business card was like check, like like Facebook check and stuff like that. Yeah, so I would say yeah. I would say no because I didn't do it right. But obviously, when I got into Race Lab, I mean, I had to pay every 30 days, the building or the space we were at. So I better have a business plan, because I set up everything the way I wanted, and I managed my shop as a franchise, to be honest, and that helped me a lot.
And then you said you had 8 guys working for you. Do you find it difficult managing them and keeping them, working and doing the stuff they need to be doing?
Being raised by my parents, I don't think I find it difficult. It's just time consuming. Because if you find it difficult, you'll be like frustrated. So you'll be like, frustration just kind of like blurs you to the point you're thinking like, oh, this guy, like and you always think that because you have that guy, and if you could just fire him and find someone better, all your problems will go away. So I don't find it difficult. I find it interesting, and I've developed a way to work with them, and I don't know if maybe a lot of you guys out there that have shops and stuff like that or business, like I try to give them something different. So I try to give them a great work environment. For me, that's important. Like giving that to them, I mean, you'll get a lot of results back from them without telling them what to do. So I try to spend my time. We have meetings every week, the basics, and we'll go out to eat. And I'll talk with them individually and tell them, like, you know what, you did, you do extremely good, but your ego, I'll be honest with them, like your ego just is too high right now. I need you to lower it a bit, and I need you to focus on what we're doing. And I'll have a great, like my welder, like he's really, really good, and I'll just have to talk to him, like, this is too time consuming. Like, how can we make it better? Like, what tools do you need? So with that, I think I've killed a lot of the problems that we could have. And obviously just reminding them that teamwork, and you'll find it funny, but I tell them I'm not the owner and I'm not the boss. I just have that position there. Like, this is my seat and I'm here. And if I don't do it right, I'm going to get fired and someone else is going to take my salary. So they'll see me as the leader, maybe not the boss, like the leader, and they'll see me like as hands down, like I'll work with them and everything. So okay. They don't see me as this figure that screams at them and stuff like that.
Can you break down your sources of revenue, like part sales, service, your school, tuning, like kind of break it down for us?
In percentage of how much money we make, or like how do we make money?
Yeah, give me a percentage. Like, how do you break your? I mean, is the school doing enough sales to justify it, or like, do you sell a lot of parts? Is it mostly labor? Kind of break it down for us.
Okay, so depends on the year. Like right now, if you would ask me, and I go back to my books, like right now, we've just been tuning like a lot lately. So I've been like focusing in tuning and reviewing the platforms we use. Like we'll use AM and Haltech and Hondata and stuff like that, and Fuel Tech and stuff like that. So right now, I'd say like tuning is a lot of the money we've seen lately has been from tuning.
Okay.
And then right behind it, because they're together, which is our dyno. And then right after that, it has to be the builds, like the wrenching and stuff, like installation and
okay.
And right beneath it, because it has to do with the mechanic work, is the parts. Because what we do in our shop is like I said, I manage my shop as a franchise. I'll sell you the part and I'll install it. I don't. I try not to let people bring parts from other places. It's really bad, And it's not because it's affecting me. It's not only that. You'll buy something out of whatever website you want to buy it, and it comes incomplete, and I have the car in my shop that I can't finish because that gasket didn't come. Like, I'd rather take that responsibility if I bring something wrong, and it's not, you're not going to save $1,000 by me not sending you the part.
Right. So that's always the funny thing is, like, most people don't even save $10 by buying it online. So
And I'm going to say something even if a lot of people get upset, but the truth is, running a business and thinking you're going to make thousands of dollars by selling parts, it doesn't work like that. Like, for me, it doesn't work like that. And I've sold thousands of dollars like in parts, like, and I think it's like, obviously we do sell parts, but the margin is not that big for you to focus on that only. Like, you have to do other stuff. I don't know about you, Kevin, but parts is not like the biggest like income that we have. Even if I
don't focus on it at all.
Okay, like even like I could show you my books. Like, yeah, we sold $50,000 in parts. Well, when I do the math, the shipping, getting the tracking out, the email time and stuff like that, and burning my circuitry to the ground because she has to go through all this. Sometimes it's not, and I could focus on something else. I'd rather use that time to, practice working on Motec or doing my school or do something else. I just don't think I think it's necessary, but it's not like, I think a lot of people that don't have a shop think that that's where the money's at.
And you said you have a marketing guy. So what kind of, I've always thought you did a very good job of marketing the shop and, putting together like Facebook posts are all very pretty. You make little videos and whatnot. So you've done a very good job with that. And is that worked out well for you?
Yeah, we have a local talent. His name is Rene. He has a, for you guys that want to see cars and stuff like that, it's called Monster Speed. You can check him out. So Rene works with us. He works part-time with us. So he runs his own business and he does anything that has to do with cars, like very professional. And so he works part-time with us, and that's kind of another task for us because, to be honest, like I just had a meeting with him a couple of weeks ago where he tells me that he's still waiting for me to upload work from 2016 and 17. Like we've had so much work in the last years that he's done so much stuff that you only see on Facebook like 5% of whatever we're doing, maybe like tops 15, because it's everything we do is always like filmed or whatever, and he's always working. When he comes in, we were doing a Corvette. There was a time we did like 7 Corvettes at the same time. I don't know how I had 7 Corvettes here, but I had 7 Corvettes at the shop was like a Corvette dealership, right? And I don't even think I've uploaded that. So Monster does that work. He knows our standards. So anything you see on Facebook, anything you see there is 100% legit. There is nothing that I took from somewhere else and I wanted to put it here as advertisement. No, everything is from our shop, like done here 100%. And I take a lot of pride in what we do. So everything is done to perfection. So whatever Monster is doing is a reflection of how I do my work and how my other employees do their work.
And now you've kind of mentioned that you're not really in it for the money, but do you find that the pay now that you've are established business and you've got 8 people working for you, do you think your time is justified with the pay you make?
I think so. I think so. Like I said at the beginning, I did the business for the wrong reason. I didn't even think about the money. I started seeing that when we started having cars coming over. I think location, you read a couple magazines or stuff like that. They'll tell you like location is very important. Obviously it is, but I'm in like Panama, and I've had guys come like from Nicaragua, from Costa Rica, customers fly from Colombia, people come up from El Salvador, Honduras and stuff like that, and bring their cars to the shop. Like, I don't even know, how many days that takes, but I do actually. But when I was doing my business, and when you have to do things right in order to accomplish that, you don't see that because you're not visionary, right? So maybe some people don't see that, but if you do things right, and as an example, I'm in the corner in Panama. I'm like very far away from the city, or not very close from the city. And I have all these people coming from other countries and flying out and doing business with us, or just telling us to go work somewhere else. Like for me to have the grandson or the niece of a president from another country, because it's happened to us already, call us up like, we're flying you directly because we need you to work on this car. It makes a difference, and that's something that, for me, I take pride. I've gone out to other countries like to work on stuff like that, and people see you legit, and you work legit, and that's it, and you get paid for it. I charge them, they pay us, I do my work, and I try to be as responsible as I can. So I do see it. But if you work on it to get there, so I wouldn't recommend anyone opening a shop thinking that's going to happen. If you don't put the time into it. It doesn't. If I was on Facebook, for example, Kevin, how would you see me if I was on Facebook talking about like this 2,000 horsepower 2JC and no one does it better than me and no one this and that? No, do you think that would get me business? I mean, that would probably just destroy all my connections, and burn bridges with a lot of people I work with or know. Like, so I try to keep my ego under control and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have the same problem. I have to avoid Facebook now as far as posting stuff because one, it never does any good, and 2, it just makes me angry all day long.
Exactly.
And 3, it doesn't really honestly, I've gotten to the point where I'm so busy here that I do not even need to be on Facebook to say how awesome our cars are. It's the work speaks for itself, so I don't need to spend the time talking about it on Facebook. And you kind of think that the people who do spend all day on Facebook don't have anything better to do. Are they actually busy at their shop? Are they actually what they say they are? So
it's the ego problem. I think it comes with cars. I don't know if it's like
Right.
unleaded fuel or whatever, but it's the ego is just like, I mean, something like that coming up on Facebook Live and talking about how good you are and and you beat this car, that could just kill the opportunity for you. You just do your work and get your stuff together and do what you got to do. I mean, I don't expect anyone to give me any likes, to be honest. I don't look for likes. I want to show you what we do. I hope that can tell you what we do, and I hope I can fix your car. But I don't expect anyone to tell me like how great we are and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons why maybe you will never see me. You will never see a picture of me on Facebook. Because I don't run Gary Carbono Performance. I run Race Lab. I run a company, and I work for that company. I owe that company, respect and everything, and I wouldn't do anything to affect it in any way. And I don't think many people think like that, to be honest.
Okay, and what are the primary tools you use to manage the business? Like, are you using QuickBooks? You have a shop manager. I've talked to her before, but what else are you doing there?
We have a long belt. I just hit my employees
Smack
with the
people?
belt. Yeah, I just smack people from far away. No, just kidding. Okay. So to start off, we use MSA, my shop assist, in order to schedule, organize, and stuff like that. The program works great, amazing. The users, that's the problem right there. So we have problems with the users. So for you guys that have MSA, it's not the program the problem, it's the users. So yeah, of course I'll have my guys like this guy's still working, still welding, and I look and he's not there and he just left it rolling, and it's just counting the time that he's welding where he's not there. So MSA, QuickBook to get everything set up. I don't know. I love QuickBook. I just hate it when customers call me and tell me they can't open the invoice. I don't know. It comes up as spam or something like that on their computer. And obviously, like all the free stuff that you can get, like Outlook calendar and stuff like that on my phone, and a lot of paper, a lot of pens. I mean, for now, that's kind of what we use to get stuff done. What's
something you personally struggle with in business, and how do you deal with it?
Customers. Not just I wouldn't say customers. So I struggle. Oh, that's a deep question. So I would say, to summarize it, keeping standards. Because once you have standards, you actually know what to follow. Because if you got no standards, then you have like different ideas. So today I want to be clean. Tomorrow I want to be, the best tuner and so forth. So we try to keep standards, and keeping everyone in standards, it's sometimes very time consuming and very difficult, because it's not how you feel today. I really don't care how you feel today. Like I need you to do this, and I need you to do it correctly. I can't have an employee break that, because like I said initially, I can tell my employees I'm not the owner, and I'm seated here to run the business, and that's all, and they have to respect it. So I try to keep them in the loop that standard is very important. So keeping our standards of quality, that if I just say standard, that there's honesty, there all these tools that you need in order to work. At the same time, have my employees happy, have the customers happy. It's so the word standard, keeping the standards every day is very important, because every day is different, and I might have a plan today. I was tuning a car today, and 3 customers came up. I couldn't finish the tune, had to take care of the customer. So keeping my standards like to level is the most important. Obviously that counts for organization and all the rest of the stuff. So yeah, keeping the standards.
Okay. And do you have a 1-year plan for the business? Like what are you hoping to accomplish this year?
Okay. We normally have like a 1-year plan and a 2.5, I call it. So I've been doing this since we opened the shop. So I'll do something like I want to see in a year done, which is kind of the school. But last year I went through surgery. I went through 4 intestine surgery. So that 1 year
I didn't hear
plan,
from you at all last year.
I was dead. Not just kidding. I went through a rough time. Business was kind of slow, extremely slow. For me, I don't know for anyone else, but for me it was kind of slow. And I went through a really difficult time, like 4 surgeries or 3 surgeries, and I came to work anyways, keeping my standards, came to work. I would lay down in the couch next to my desk, and I would give instructions right from there. So my 1 year was to get the school set up. So I think my school is at 80%
Okay.
ready. So I think I'm almost done with that.
So you haven't taken any students in, then it's still just you
That's
getting
a-
it all ready to go. Okay.
That's a great question. We have. So I started out with I have a list of people that actually want to come in and either work with us for free or work with us or come to school. So I I've had students come in and pay 1, 2, or 3 courses, and I had some kids come from another part of the world and stay with us for a week. Some other kids came for a weekend, and I'll give them the course. Either it was like engine building or like tuning and stuff like that. And tuning is really not hard, but it's kind of like complicated to explain sometimes. So I've done courses. Like at least for now, I've trained about like 8 to 12. I would say 12 because some of them were like really easy courses where it had to be. It was like transmissions. Like I had this guy from, I think it was Spain. He needed like a course on tranny work and stuff like that, so we did that.
Okay. And so your 2.5 year plan is to have the school like running by then?
No, I'd say my 1 year plan was to have the school ready. So my 2.5 is to obviously to make the company grow and stuff like that. All the basic stuff you want to do and you want to see done, and normally it doesn't take a year. So my 2.5 would be to hopefully open another branch. We have a customer overseas that he just wants to take the shop and maybe build his own. So right now we're helping him like know what to buy and stuff like that. So I think it would be consulting. That's kind of like what I see myself in like 2.5 years, consulting for business or for opening a shop or stuff like that, or just trying to give these shops the opportunity to work with us. So kind of like take the ego away, and then we'll go out, do the work for them, and then come back. So kind of a problem we had lately. I've had a lot of shops that we did that, and they'll be like, "No, I don't want them to know that you came," stuff like that. So I was like, okay,
okay.
No
So we like to take action on Do It for a Living. Can you give an action item our listeners can take that they can use to improve their situation?
For all you guys that have a shop or have another business, I would recommend 1,000% to manage your shop as a franchise. That know that everything has a reason and everything has to be standard and everyone has to be under the same rules. There's no exception. So that would be like, run your shop as a franchise. Think in your mind. Think that you're gonna open 4 of these. I mean, if you can't just handle 1, you can't handle 4. So.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a very good suggestion. Yeah.
So all you guys keep it to that level, and that makes a huge difference. Either that, or I'll make a huge list of 100 things you need to do, starting with discipline. But I think just franchising.
Okay, and then let's move on to our quick answer questions here. So just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Go ahead.
Give us a game-changing product you've seen in the last year.
The brushless fuel pumps.
Have you actually gotten to use one yet? I don't think they're ready. At least T1's, they're still working on the controller for it, right?
I don't know. I think not to give them advertisement, but I think AMS had one. Like for the GTR and stuff like that, and that's something we struggle a lot here. I mean, if you're struggling with fuel, it's because you're making big horsepower. So
yeah, right.
So that brushless stuff, and to be honest, for me, it's kind of weird because I think that stuff is already set up and made. So maybe it's used for military stuff or whatever, and they don't want to bring it out. It's like when they brought the microwave. It was like all this. It was technology they had, and if you think about it, I think that like the fuel pump, the brushless and stuff like that you can control the percentage and the load and everything. I think that's pretty cool, and that's like top secret right now. But I think it's gonna make a huge difference. I can't believe that we're still using the Wabro 255. From 1990.
Tried and true, man. Tried and true.
To be honest, it's held so long. If I could invest, I don't know if any one of you guys know Mr. Wabro. If I could, send them an email or something and talk to him, and if I could invest money in if I could have invested money in shares, whatever, many years ago, I would have done it with Wabro. It's just been like the simplest setup, and it works. And now going to brushless, like did we have to wait so long to get this?
What's your favorite app that you're using on your phone?
Let's see what we got. I got something called Spotify.
That's a music app, right?
Yeah, I use that one a lot. So I have another one called Waze.
That's a mapping app.
So the number one used here is WhatsApp. Yeah, I don't know. Do
So
you have
you use
WhatsApp?
that for like international, I guess, text messaging, right? Like it's like messaging like AOL Instant Messenger, but international, and it's encrypted too, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's encrypted. I don't know that part. I don't think it is. But or maybe it is. I don't know. But I'll use it, and this is where I'll have like Marcos from Magnus, or I have like John Estrada if I want to say hi. Like this is where I keep everyone connected. I don't know of another method. Maybe there is another method, but that's not Facebook. But that's where I call them and stuff like that. So this is the one I normally use. I have some other applications, but like Kindle. I use Kindle a lot. I use Kindle every night before going to sleep.
I don't even know what Kindle is.
Well, it's kind of like you buy a book on Amazon, and
Oh,
then
it's like the little Kindle like
yeah,
Fire
and
thing.
and
Right?
I read a lot. Lately, I've been reading a lot, so I keep my mindset in books and stuff like that.
Okay. What's your favorite shop tool?
My favorite, not the perfect, my favorite tool would be the dyno, because we've evolved to use it in so many different ways. I don't know if how other people use their dyno and stuff like that. Obviously, to make runs and to tune and stuff like that. But lately, I've been using it to diagnose stuff.
Okay.
So I mean, anything that we can use it that makes an income and that makes our job easier. So if I have a client that says, like, hey, there's this noise in the transmission, I'm not taking it to the street and hooking up a microphone and a camera underneath the car. Like I'm putting it on the dyno and I think we've used it for insurance companies also. I think there was a problem with some cars at the insurance company dealership, and I just rented out to them for diagnosis and research and whatever.
And what kind of car are you driving right now?
What car? What type of car do you think I drive, Kevin? Let's see.
Well, everybody else that we talked to seemed to drive pretty normal cars. Very few people actually have sports cars.
Well, that's true. Well, my favorite car to drive. I have a minivan. I have a Dodge Caravan from 2013, 2014,
Okay.
and it has the most comfortable suspension. That's what I normally use to go anywhere,
Okay.
to the track, whatever, and it's comfortable. And then I have the weirdest setup. I have a Ford Lightning for all you Ford guys.
Uh-huh.
I have an 850 horsepower Ford Lightning that I barely use. Barely use. I mean, it's built. Everything is. I kind of built it because I told you I had that truck when I was young.
Yeah.
So I built a Lightning and I barely use it. It doesn't tow anything. It doesn't carry anything. It runs on pump gas and M1.
Are you running it on
It
methanol?
runs on methanol.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
like a pain in the
100%
ass.
mixture. Yeah, I run it on pump gas and then it sprays methanol.
Oh, okay.
It sprays the two injectors right before the supercharger.
Okay.
And
Like a
makes-
methanol injection kit.
Yeah, and it has no traction. So
Okay. And what do you think the future of automotive performance is going to be?
I would say very impressed with electric cars coming out and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I think that's the future. I don't think it's going to kill us immediately, but I think that is the future. I'm very impressed with all these DTC transmissions.
Like the GTR transmission and the Evo 10 SST?
Very
that kind of thing?
impressed. And again, this is like conspiracy right there. I think this is some of the stuff that has been there for years, and they're just bringing it out. I mean, just put it out. You have another technology after that. Just lay it out now. Don't wait. Like transmission, electric cars, and the fueling. I guess anything that has to do with fueling, because they have to make an improvement, Kevin, before going to electric. These, I mean, the car manufacturers, they have, I believe, I want to think that they have so much hidden technology. They're not going to go out of business like that.
My opinion is, if you look at what Formula One does, is that's the farthest that people have gone with it, where it's fieldable. And they got the electric hybrid turbos, which I think will be really sweet for our application, instantaneous or at least much faster spool up with big turbos. And then most of their stuff is hybrid now. But yeah, I mean, electric is where everything is going. So, I'm in the same boat as you. I think that is the future.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a game changer for all of us. I mean, I was pretty impressed with the direct injection. I think the first time I got to work with direct injection was kind of tricky. I think it was a massive speed or something like that. And the new Corvettes and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty cool. But I know there's a step beyond all that stuff. And like you said, the turbo stuff, The turbos have evolved a lot. Like, I mean, I come from an area where you had like that FP green, and then you had the HTA technology from FP, and then the Generation 1 from Precision, and Generation 2. I mean, just get over it. Just make that wheel carbon fiber and just let it out, you know.
Right.
So many combinations of stuff. To be honest, like spool up is not a problem right now. It's for me, it's not a problem. Like everything's spooling pretty fast. I mean, either you make more compression on it.
You didn't put a big enough turbo on your car, then that's the problem.
Exactly. You'll go bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know about the sizes go up, but the housings look pretty small. When I saw that first, what's it called, the tile 0.82 housing, that looked like a 63 size housing. But anyways, I mean, I think that all that stuff is pretty good.
Okay. And how do we connect with you and your company?
Okay. You can definitely call us. We have a U.S. line. We have 2 U.S. numbers, but the one normally we use for customers outside is 305-907-8277. We renamed those Facebook, so the same. Gary Carbono, okay. The employee, is on Facebook, and Lab Motorsports the same. It's a mirror between the two. It's the same thing in one or the other. In one you can be friends, and the other one you can just give us a like or whatever.
Follow or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, Instagram. That's about it.
Well, Gary, I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story and tell us, like your background and how Lab Motorsports is born and working in your future. So, thanks for taking the time to share it.
Not a problem.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and attract more high-level guests. Thanks for listening, and good luck.